So my Nissan 350Z has now sold and is being collected in the morning, and that means that we're going to have room for a new car on the channel. I'm going to be honest, the 350Z was a bit of a sheep in wolf's clothing, whereas this car is the opposite, so hang fire if you think it looks a little bit plain Jane. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you the cheapest E82 135i in the UK. So as I said in the previous clip, the 135i is the polar opposite to what the 350Z was. So where the 350Z was very loud to look at, this car is almost the exact opposite. It almost looks like a diesel. But in reality, what we have under this bonnet... You shut up. See, what we have under this bonnet is a 3-litre twin turbocharged engine. So this is the N54 engine, the same as what comes in the 335i and lots of other BMW models, but crammed into this tiny little 1 Series. So out the box from BMW, this tiny little car makes 300 horsepower, which for the size of that engine isn't a lot, but for the size of this car, it most definitely is. Although that is mighty impressive, one thing that isn't is the sound. For a car with 300 horsepower and a straight 6 engine and 2 turbos, that for me sounds rubbish. So if you're curious why I picked this car, there's 2 main reasons. The first one is I used to own an F-Series M135i, which is probably one of the best all-round cars I've ever owned. And 2, these share the same engine and platform as a BMW 1M from the same generation. Now, if you follow the price of the BMW 1M, they are sometimes now up to about £50,000. So to share the same engine and platform and have a few other bits as well, these at the moment for me are an absolute bargain. So as always, I like to buy at the very bottom of the market to give myself the most headaches possible. But if you want to know what I paid for this car, I need 300 likes on this video, so press like now. So on the outside, the car is pretty boring to look at, I'm sure we can all agree, but there's 2 main giveaways which tell you this is a 135i, I believe. Someone's going to correct me if I'm wrong anyway. So the first giveaway is these absolutely colossal brakes. I believe these are actually better than the brakes which come on the BMW 1M, which just doesn't make sense to me. And secondly is these headlights. These are the halo headlights with the projectors, which are so much better, not just to look at, but also in functionality, than the standard halogen headlights. And then moving on to the inside, I'll be honest with you, there's not much in here which makes it very exciting. There's not even a sport button. We've got a DTC, which is your traction control, and that's about it. It's just a standard BMW 1 Series apart from that. Although the shape of the E82 1 Series is actually quite nice, I think this model in particular deserves a little bit more spice. So that gives us the perfect opportunity to turn this car into what I believe it should have been when it came out of the factory. So although this is a taxed, MOT'd, running and driving car, it's not without its faults, which is what you expect when you buy at the bottom of the market. So although the interior is probably the best part of the car, to be honest, there's a few things which are a little bit gammy. So the steering wheel has started to peel and showing this slightly glossier section underneath. The radio has some greenery growing in the CD player, which I'll never use, but definitely looks disgusting. And I don't know what would have caused this, but it looks like the air vents have had some sort of mould growing on them, which has then stained them. And let's be honest, that's not the most attractive thing either. The display for the radio itself has a complete mind of its own. Sometimes it's quite readable and other times it's absolutely useless. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's a pretty common problem with this sort of generation of BMW. And in true Chris style, the aircon is like being sat on a very windy day in the Sahara Desert, so that's just beautiful. And even though there is those few little downsides, there is some cool upsides as well. So we've got steering wheel controls, we've got cruise control here, we've got heated seats and parking sensors all the way around. Now let's take a look at the other bits of the car which need sorting. So every single wheel is either curbed or peeling. It also looks like someone has decided to use the front of the bonnet as a bench because we've got two big dents, one here and one here, which is a strange place to get them. These front grills, not really attached properly, and also the front bumper has seen better days. This front wing has also just started to rust, and also this tyre has a slow puncture, which means the edge of it is starting to wear because it's obviously been an ongoing problem. This rear tyre is running low on tread in the middle because it's been overinflated, but on the upside it has had new brakes all round, so new discs and pads, and also it looks like the previous owner has gone for these uprated C-hook discs, and I guess they go with uprated pads to match. Which, given the size of the discs, I'm quite happy about because I can't imagine that they'd have been cheap. And all in all, I'd say the exterior condition of the car, for what I paid for it, is actually pretty good. I'm not going to make any complaints here. But unfortunately, there is some serious problems, and there's only one place left, which they could be. Yes, that's right. Unfortunately, we have a mildly troublesome engine. I bought this car from London and drove it back to Leicester with almost no faults, so it's not serious, but it definitely needs sorting out if I'm going to continue driving this car. Now, I've just tried to film it for you guys, but there's no chance of you being able to see it, but the first issue on this car is the rocker cover gasket, which means that oil is seeping through here and then landing on the manifold for the exhaust, and then causes one, smoke to come out of the bonnet, and two, the interior to smell a little bit manky. And I've had a bit of a poke around, and there may potentially be more oil leaks than just that. I don't know how long the rocker cover gasket has been leaking, but the bottom of the engine is definitely wet. I know if this is anything like the N55 engine, they are also prone to sunk gaskets going, which means more oil seeping out of there, making the oil consumption on these cars much worse than it should be. Now the rule is start at the top and work your way down, because the sunk gasket might be fine, so we'll start with the rocker cover gasket, give it a good clean, and then we'll see how it's looking then. And here is our second problem. We've also got a coolant leak. So I've had a bit of a dig around for where this could be coming from, but I can't see exactly. It's not easy to see what's going on with this big engine in this tiny little engine bay, but I think it's coming from the left hand side. I'm going to have to do a bit more digging to see exactly what's going on with it. Now obviously you can drive the car, so it's not just pouring out, but I think it's going to be a split hose possibly, but we'll see. I guess we'll just have to do a bit more research. If any of you guys at home have got any suggestions where that could be coming from and the most common places to have water leaks on these cars, please do let me know in the comment section below. So the car has a little bit of a rough engine, the bodywork is a little bit tired, and the interior's a little bit smelly. I'm actually pretty happy with the purchase on this car. And the reason being for that is, out of the box they actually drive really well. If anything, I'd say it's actually slightly better to drive than the F-Series M135i that I had a few years ago. And let's be real, in typical BMW fashion, the interiors have hardly changed either. Now, I've got my own ideas on what I want to do with this car, but it's still up for debate and nothing is set in stone. So if you've got any modification ideas for this car, let me know down below. That is all for this week's video. If you've enjoyed it, please do not forget to smash on that subscribe button and join me on the journey where we restore, modernise and customise this E82 135i. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.